Hey, everybody. Welcome to Marketing Mondays. We are live here on the Build Short-Term Rental Wealth YouTube channel because Facebook has absolutely screwed up our ability to, broadcast live into any group, not just our group. So if you're joining us, thanks for being here. I just posted a link in the Build Short-Term Rental Wealth Facebook group. This is Chris's first day back from his European vacation. Or else he probably would have already figured this out if he had more than a couple hours to since the time that we got back. But most likely we will be broadcasting on the YouTube channel here moving forward. So if you're watching, I'd make sure and hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel so that way you can get notifications when we are doing Marketing Mondays every Monday, because it just doesn't look like Facebook's going to provide a great option for us to do live broadcasts into the group anymore. And answering your questions is something that's critical. So as always, on Marketing Mondays, hey, Brenna, please feel free to drop in your questions in the comments. And most importantly, let us know where you're from. Like, where are you from, Brenna? So just type in, hey, I'm Bill from Nashville, and then type in your question, and we will jump right in. Hey, Joanna, welcome. Sorry for being a few minutes late. It's just, technology and, Facebook and Instagram. They just like to change stuff all the time, right, Chris? Which is also something, hey, James, that I want to talk about today is just kind of the ever-changing landscape of like Facebook specifically, and social media in general. What worked a month ago typically is not working today from a social media standpoint. So like some things that if you guys are doing reels exclusively and doing videos on Instagram with, for your personal brand or for your properties, you kind of need to mix that up a little bit, that are dropped in. Especially if you're really leveraging reels like we do. So it used to be that you would have a thumbnail on your reel, then you went to no thumbnails, and now it's like, hey, we need to start with a GIF and then lead into the video. But also something that is working really, really well. Hopefully you guys have, hey, Naveen, hey, Brandon, hopefully you guys have gone in and documented your process. The before and afters are things that we see that are working the absolute best for any property, specifically on an Instagram side. And to be perfectly honest with you, Chris, I'd like your feedback on this. We need to get Savannah on here to join us maybe in the next couple of weeks. But I think I would not recommend, if you have to choose between channels, putting your effort into or Facebook organically. I would be putting all the effort into Instagram organically from, a reach standpoint. What say you about that, Chris?
Yeah, I think the discoverability is there. And I think it's the things that people don't realize. And so the algorithm is so good on Instagram. I'll give you a perfect example. For weeks, I've been preparing for this trip to Europe. And it just seemed like, at the weirdest coincidences, I would get a reel that's like, hey, here's this thing in Rome, and here's this thing in Florence.
5 best rooftop, bars with a view of the Colosseum.
Everything like that.
How many times did you see the Trevi Fountain at 5 a.m. versus noon? All that stuff. I'm seeing it all myself.
But that just proves a point that the algorithm knows more about us than we think it does. Well, we always know that, but most people don't realize how good it is at actually just taking what we're looking for, what we're searching, the things we're liking, the things we're sharing with friends, all that type of stuff, and start showing you things related to all of that. That's the purpose of the algorithm. But it's so good at that. So when your guest is planning their trip, planning their vacation, they're starting to look at all these things, that's when you can pop into a feed. Even us on our trip, we had several places we had booked originally when we started the trip planning process, but we kept looking for different places because of the cancellation policies. And actually, one of the best stays we had in Rome wasn't even available until 2 weeks before we left, and that's when we actually booked it. But we didn't find it because it just popped up. We're like, hey, that looks incredible. Let's switch them out and swap it. And so
you're talking about an Airbnb or a hotel?
Yeah, Airbnb. We didn't stay at one hotel the entire trip. It was all Airbnbs the whole time. But discoverability on the Instagram side of just how the algorithm pushes, but also how there's the visibility and the visualness of it. The Facebook has become, like all the platforms take on a flavor. Facebook has become this much more of a older generation, a lot more of the style of photos and sharing that come from the older generation, which is fine. Every platform has its own unique spin to it. Twitter's a little more argumentative than other platforms. YouTube's obviously long format content heavy, and Instagram's the visual kind of mixed in between of some short content, some images still, but reels are just dominant on the platform, as opposed
But
to
you got to mix
TikTok
it up. You
slower
can't
plays.
just do all reels. That's the
Thousand
thing
percent.
about creating content. And it's one of the problems that I've had until we got my new social media manager, Savannah. I will twist her arm to get on here. She used to run like The Rock, Stone Cold with the WWE back in the day, and she knows what she's doing. So that content mix is something that's super important. Here's one thing that I'll share with you too is don't sleep on curated content. Like if you go to my Instagram, BillFace73, right down there below, and you look at what I posted at 2:45 this morning, an incredible view out these windows of the Dolomites, which are a mountain range in northern Italy, right? And what's really important about that is I'm able to leverage that view as an age. Then in the caption is some educational content for you guys because that's what I do. But the attraction is that view. Then, most importantly, I ask a question at the end of that post, right? So now people, every time somebody comes in and asks and answers the question, boom, it gets pushed up into the algorithm for other people to be able to see. So there's a lot of these tricks. Naveen talks about, hey, I'm not an Instagram user, so how would this impact me? Can I start from zero? Naveen, we all have to start from zero. We all have to have our parents holding the banana seat back in the day, with the bike when we're learning how to ride before we take the training wheels off. And then, the same thing with social media. You got to start somewhere. Look, I mean, probably a year ago, Chris, what did I have on Instagram? Maybe 1,800 followers a year ago, probably. I'm guessing I'm getting ready to break 9,000. So if I can add 8,000 or 7,000 in just under a year, that's extremely valuable. And Naveen, and everybody out there, don't get caught up. Look, I have one of the smallest social media followings as a coach and an influencer in our industry, but I probably have the most rabid, I don't even know how to describe it, the best community for the size, which is more valuable to our community than it is having 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000. It's not always about the numbers. You just want to get in front of the right people. And Naveen and everybody else, that's what the algorithm's going to help you do. That's why Chris just got back from his trip to Italy, really an Italy trip with London sandwiched in on the back end, right? And I'm seeing the exact same stuff that he's seeing. And not once have I told Instagram or Facebook, hey, I'm going to Italy. It just sees that I start consuming this content. My whole feed is either Italy or Banff, Canada right now, because I'm going to Banff this summer. So I'm looking for the hiking and the Louise and all the information of, man, you can't even take a car to Lake Louise anymore, right? So I had to book a shuttle, to be able to get there. And I'm learning about all this stuff. So I'm in Facebook groups for Italy and Banff. So it knows that. So that's why it's showing me stuff on Instagram. Same concepts apply. You're going to find the right buyer based on the content that you're going to create for the algorithm. But the content has to be super good. So Naveen, don't worry about the number of followers that you have or don't have. Worry about creating that amazing content. Those of you that are just joining in, sorry for not being on Facebook. Facebook's crushing our ability to broadcast live into it. We'll most likely continue to do Marketing Mondays here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe while you're here. Hit the button wherever it is. I think it's down there, actually. That way you'll get notified when we're doing Marketing Mondays and if we put any other content out on the channel as well. So Naveen, don't worry about getting started. That's something I think a lot of people, it's what holds us back, right, Chris? It's what John Boyens used to say, stop getting ready to get ready. Just take action and figure that shit out down the road. That is something I can tell you has probably been one of my biggest skills that I had to learn early. I don't think inherently we're born with it. We are born with, unless you are just this daredevil risk taker, adrenaline junkie. Most human beings are born with a trait to let's figure it all out first, then let's move forward. And that is not the way that it should be. Let's launch, then figure it out as we go, right? So it's one of the reasons I like launching properties so quickly. They're not 100% done. If you were at the big conference, the SCR Wealth Conference, and you saw the the Clonteska property, the Banner Elk property that I just purchased the week before. Thank you, Brenna Carls, for getting that done in 8 days at the mortgage shop. One of the big things is we got it up and running. Bria was there for 3 days before coming back to the conference. We're not done. So we are up, we're live, we're taking bookings. We did not get done, which is okay. She's going back to finish the game room actually next week. Then we will be done with the listing some 2.5 months later. But most people wait to get everything done and then launch. That's a big problem. So I've got the mega super property right now. I'm going down. Well, I'm not. I guess I'm going to stop there tomorrow. We'll talk about in a different video about the legal issues I'm dealing with at my other lake property with my neighbor. But I'm going to go down and I'm going to create some content so we have the progress of this property. This is the one that's going to sleep 32 people, 12 bedrooms, 9 baths. I've taken content. We took Chris down. He got content. So now it's going to be, we're drywall, they're painting. Even though there will be no furniture, we're going to take photos tomorrow and probably the hour that we'll spend there, which will probably be some listing photos. We will launch this listing prior to Memorial Day, even though the property will not be done and furnished till the middle of June, because I have no timeline. Then I can't get Andrew down there at that time to photo. So Chris is going to have to go down there before I leave to go to Italy and Spain and Switzerland on June 23rd. So that way I can get my listings up, even though it will not be in a finished state, most likely, because we will be ready to take bookings, but we won't be done 100% based on the timing that I'm going to have to go down there with Chris to get it prepared around the boot camps that we're doing in Nashville, Dallas, Los Angeles, and Phoenix, right? And around a vacation with my family down to the beach. But getting ready to get ready is not what we want to do. So I'm going to challenge all of you to start content. Here's the other thing. I get a lot of ads, Chris. I don't know if you get this, about people creating channels on YouTube and Instagram about faceless content, right? And if you go to my Instagram, once again, you can see that right down. I get confused here, right there. Go to my Instagram and look at what I posted this morning. That is faceless content. You can leverage content around your property, right? So there's a lot of content, especially if you have traffic drivers. It doesn't have to be Italy. It doesn't have to be Banff. It doesn't have to be Glacier National Park. If you're at a lake, if you're in Orlando at Disney, there's a lot of stuff that you can leverage, because remember, people are coming for the traffic drivers and our properties become secondary. If they're coming for the traffic drivers, almost all the people that I see, Chris, are literally posting stuff here's a bedroom, here's my coffee bar. That stuff's great, but you should probably have like 2 to 3 pieces of content that is exterior, that doesn't involve your property, why people should be coming. Hey, here's our favorite coffee shop that you can walk to, and here's why. Don't just tell them the coffee shop. It's because they have Costa Rican and, Colombian beans and stuff. You can hand pick them, put them in the grinder yourself. You know what I mean? That's an experience. Chris just went on his first Italian vacation with his best friends, and he spent 5 days in London. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was not, Cinque Terre, however the fuck you say that. It wasn't Duomo in Florence. It wasn't the Colosseum in Rome. Did you guys hit Amalfi?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the Amalfi Coast, which every influencer wants to take photos and talks about. It was the experience that he had, which ironically, last time I was there, 2019, if you remember, Brie and I went and did the pasta making deal, and then we took it 2 doors down to their restaurant, and they cooked it for us, and we ate in the restaurant, and that was the best experience that we had. You don't hear people talking about the hotels. You don't hear people talking about the Airbnbs. The first thing out of Chris's mouth when I asked him, and him and I have not even had a conversation, I haven't even spoken to him since he's been back, was literally the experience. So take those experiences and showcase those outside of just your property, on your social media, in your email marketing to them. That's what's going to draw people in.
Absolutely. I think that's where it can be difficult at times for when you're not necessarily at a property, but that's where your point of the curated content can help so much, because in the end, your property is a portion of the reason why someone's coming to go on vacation, whether it's at the beach or the mountain or wherever they're going. It's a piece of it. It's not the sole reason. No one's going to 99.9% of the properties to be at the property. It's to experience whatever's in that market that there's there to experience. And so sharing those things, those unique things, And I was really reminded because we visit so many places that we've been to before, right? We're like, I can't even count how many times I've been down to Gulf Shores at this point in time, or been to Montana multiple times for whitefish, and you get used to. I'm here. I've been there. I know where to go. Here's the restaurants. Here's the grocery store you should go to. But when you've never been somewhere before and it's all brand new to you, that's really when you lean on those recommendations of here's the restaurants, here's the grocery store, here's the things to get to, here's the cool little thing you should check out. Here's the thing no one knows about because everyone's so busy going to this tourist trap that they're not even going anywhere near this thing over here that only the locals know about. It's that type of stuff that you have information about. People want to know. Some people are all about the touristy things, and so am I. You can enjoy doing some of that stuff. But I think most people want those really unique, heartfelt experiences of, hey, you go to the beach, but if you go to the pier, it's going to be packed. So come over here. It's a little known entrance, but it'll be more private for you. That type of stuff that only you have as host, that information that your guests really, really want to know to create that unique experience for them.
100%. Kirk, I just dropped in the links for the summer boot camps. They'd asked about that. It's Nashville on June 1st, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Then June 10th in Dallas, Texas. It's actually going to be in Southlake, Texas, a suburb of Dallas. June 12th, Los Angeles, right next to LAX. For easy access, even if you're in, San Diego or San Francisco or Vegas, just jump on a super quick $49 Southwest flight, come and see us for a day. And then we will be in Phoenix on the 14th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
On the 14th. And that's the first leg. Then I'm going to Europe. Then we'll come back. But one thing that I would tell you is this is all about positioning. It doesn't matter if we're underwriting properties, if we're trying to do listing optimization, if we're trying to do content on social media. It's all about how we execute, and it's the small nuances of the leverage that we get with that, right? So like here, Vinci, awesome. One of my commercial properties, 550 acres in Texas. We have a 330 acre safari experience. Is a huge selling point for our guests. It's a big game changer. That sounds awesome, Vinci. And you know what? I bet most people don't even care about the property. What they care about is the safari experience, right? That's going to be the traffic driver to suck them in. Now, you can't have a shitty property, and I'm sure you don't, but it's still the property. That traffic driver is always primary, and the property ends up, in this case, the dwelling where you're going to stay ends up being secondary. So if you guys are just joining us, hey, Rick, pop in your questions. Let us know where you guys are from. This kind of transitions over, Chris, in this creation of content as a content that you create. Everybody, direct bookings is the rage, for everybody right now. I believe that should be the second thing from a marketing perspective. If you are brand new, launching your first property or second property, you're still trying to get your revenue and your profit ramped up, you probably shouldn't be going all in on direct bookings, because that's a longer process to be able to get to the direct booking component. You need to have a direct booking sales page, website. You need to have the channels in place, like the 200-day funnel inside of Market My STR, to be able to bring those existing guests back. And here's what I want you to understand. A lot of people are trying to build direct bookings, but through social media, right? And unless you have just this incredible property, tree houses, on 20-foot stilts, in, Norway or whatever, with fjords and glaciers and stuff like that, just a great looking beach house, that you're not going to be able to create enough content. Just a great looking cabin in Sevierville, you're not going to be able to create enough content unless you utilize the faceless content. And it still has to be extraordinary to generate enough ask from social media. So really what you need to do is you need to have Stafi, and you need to be building your email list, because that's where the people that are crushing direct bookings is. They are using email, they are using text message, and they're bringing those people back, right? As opposed to trying to leverage social media with property. So we talk about budget property, good property, super property, right? So super properties, even in the standard sense, aren't is Instagrammable enough to build 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people to really move the needle for direct bookings. And it takes a lot of time. I'm not saying not to do it. What I'm saying is really focus on listing optimization first. Just dominate Airbnb, dominate Vrbo. That's images, pricing, amenities, all this different type of stuff, optimization. Then once you have hit your mark, you know, you've moved from the 50th percentile to the 75th percentile to the 90th percentile in revenue, and you've nailed your profit, right? Then really start leveraging social media. But you can start building content, you know, through that whole process. And what I see is when people start at the very beginning and then they start creating that content through the process, people get bought in. And if you can get people to buy in to your property, then they see it morph, and then you can start asking them questions. And when you ask them questions and then you implement it, hey, Bob, by the way, thanks for that great idea on Instagram a couple of months ago. We implemented your thing here. And then you show it to them. Then people are like, holy shit. Then they're vested, right? And that's what becomes absolutely critical.
Yeah, I think people in the early get started and they're hearing, oh, direct bookings, we should be whatever percentage direct bookings. And they underestimate the downside of direct bookings, and that is that you have to get that direct booking in front of people. And Airbnb is the search engine. It's like being on Google for any other normal website. So if you aren't focusing your effort in the search engine side, you're missing out on all the eyes that have the potential to see your property. And the direct booking side really should be the focus on the retention, on getting people who have previously experienced with you to come back again, using the 200-day funnel to market STR, using text messaging, using email marketing, using all the things we talk about. And that's where social media can really drive home that user-generated content of someone who had an incredible experience or someone at your property. Reposting those types of things and sharing those types of things can really move the needle more, because we both know it costs 7 times more to find a new lead than it is to have someone return to you over and over again.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the sales point.
Yeah.
It's easier to bring somebody back than it is to acquire a new customer. And everybody wants to get the big social media following. It's all vanity, right? Put the ego aside. Let's go after the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff. Vinci, Boostly versus Market My SEO, they're not the same thing. I think that's where people get a little bit confused. Boostly is just a website builder, right? And Market My SEO is the all-in-one marketing platform, text messaging, video hosting, CRM for you co-hosts and PMs that are out there. Website building, template building, email funnels, text messaging funnels. It's got everything at the lowest cost available. There's one other company that offers it, Vintory, in our industry. They start at $1,500 a month. We give you more shit than they do for $197 a month. And you get access to all of my templates. I've already written the 200-day funnel for you. We've already programmed it for automation for you. You get my direct booking templates as well. We've created, it's not just a website host, it's an all-in-one marketing platform. And we've created all this content to where you can just copy, paste, drag and drop, and you're good to go. We try to make it super simple. Here's Tyler. Hey, Tyler, thanks for jumping in. He's in Red River Gorge, kind of a new emerging market. That is something, Tyler, that I would try to get out ahead of everybody else that's there. So if you have enough time, right, and time is super important because we have to be so consistent on social media, I would try to go in and dominate the social in the Red River Gorge, because I haven't done extensive research. I have looked. I haven't seen anybody dominate that yet. Right. So it's going to be about the trails, the views. It's going to be about the gorge itself and why people like to go there more so than your property. So for every 5 posts, sprinkle your property in 1 to 2 times and have at least 2 to 3 different posts are going to be about the activities around that and why I would come to the gorge. What did Brenna say here? I just got a direct booking and Market My SEO for $3,700. Awesome. Congrats, Brenna. That's sweet. I love it. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. Chris, what did you see that's different? You've stayed in a lot of short-term rentals with me over the years. I don't know how much you do on your own, but you guys just went where you've gone 2 weeks. Is that right? Or 15 days?
Yeah, 15 days total.
Yeah. Then he only gets 8 days of vacation, so he owes me 7 days. I'm just kidding. What did you see different over there than you see here?
Honestly, the hosting, some of it's minor, like communication stuff. So a lot of other countries in the world, WhatsApp's the primary way people like to communicate with each other. And so a lot of times you may book through Verbo, for example, but end up actually having the majority of the communication through WhatsApp. My London stay was all Airbnb. Everything was on Airbnb the entire time. But honestly, it was some of the best as far as like amenities laid out, things already prepped, the the little stuff, more than just like a welcome kit. It was much better off, and even the communication ahead of time. I think they're so used to travelers that aren't from the area, and so they went over and above all of them with like, here's the air conditioner. It's a little weird, so here's the kind of walkthrough on it. Here's how the TV works. Here's the washer in the place we had it. But don't forget, you have to hang dry your clothes because we don't have a dryer. That kind of stuff. So it really was just the hosting, even with the language barrier, was incredible. And even going above and beyond most of the places of, hey, we have all this luggage because there's 3 of us. Can we get in even though the cleaners aren't in? We kind of think of those things of like, well, we don't want the stuff in the way and the cleaners have to do stuff. But when you're traveling, you're in a city like Rome, for example, and you're trying to move around, it's not so easy to move around with, luggage and that kind of thing. So there's just things they did.
You do see people awesome. Dragging it on those cobblestone streets, though.
It is rough. But the hosting was excellent. The places were excellent. And, once I think it's actually kind of crazy to think that we've been in places that were much larger in the US, like when we did the mastermind stuff, that had less already prepped or ready or even just out as far as amenity wise for a significantly less booking than what we do for
it kind of goes back to the Deer Valley, right? We rented 2 $12 million mansions side by side, had like 55 60 people in these 2 mansions. We're paying like $3,000 a night for each of them in the off season, albeit it was like first week of May or something like that. And there was literally a starter pack that was there, like 1 roll of toilet paper. There was not enough pillows for all the beds. It was horrible. Then we go rent the 2 biggest places in Orlando last January, right? For another 50, 60 person meeting for our mastermind. And it was a very similar experience, right? It's the lack of hosting, and that is your marketing, folks. And the guest experience is your marketing. And that's what I can't emphasize. I mean, I almost flipped out because I won't go into that. So it's something that happened over the weekend at one of our properties. I'll say what it is, and I'm not going to say what property it is, but it was the guests complained about not having enough toilet paper and paper. I think it was either paper towels or toilet paper. I can't remember. I don't monitor that one as much, but and there were 3. I think it was paper towels. There were 3 additional rolls of paper towels underneath the sink. They just didn't bother to look, right? And that's something that's crazy to me. And a lot of hosts would be, hey, it's under the sink. You should have looked there first. You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, I'm sorry you weren't able to find it. That's our fault. So we own it. We take 100% ownership, but there's 3 additional rolls for you under the sink, right? Same with toilet paper and that type of stuff. The reason I kind of freaked out is the word starter pack was utilized. I was going to flip my shit if there was only 1, roll of paper towels and 1 roll of TP in each bathroom. But that is part of the marketing experience. It's going to potentially bring them back afterwards. And that's where the intro video, which is really the first thing, that the 200-day funnel, FYI, it starts when the guests book. And it starts with building that personal relationship and kind of goes all the way through to 200 days after they booked to bring them back again. And once again, that takes my experience in building out sales processes, sales funnels, to be able to bring them back. The other thing is you got to be using Stafi. And I get no compensation for promoting Stafi, but that's how you're going to build your email list 5 to 7 times faster. Tyler, I have never heard of your welcome tablet. I would not put a tablet myself. I am not for signs. I'm not for QR codes. I don't put any of that stuff anywhere. Labels. The only thing we label is our kitchen cabinets, but they're on the inside. Nothing on the outside. Everything's in my touch stay guides, right? Even, I was just in Montana with the Montana fly fishing retreat. And, we have how to operate the sauna, how to operate the hot tub. One of the big things, Chris, we probably need to show this to them. I don't know if you have access available to like the key. Remember in the Gulf Shores mastermind meeting like 3 years ago where we shot the kitchen and then we put the key out to the side. And I know it's in almost every one of our touch stay guides as well, but that's the stuff. That's a marketing component that's not external to bring in more bookings, but inside, like, especially if you have big kitchens, like we overstock our kitchens with plates and mixers and extra wine openers and pizza cutters and, just toasters, and our coffee bars are ridiculous, all that stuff. So what we've done is we take, instead of having to leverage, and I love what Andrew does, right? He opens every cupboard, every drawer, and takes photos of everything. And that's great. And I try to make collages of those deeper into a listing because I don't want to waste all of those, on 10 or 15 photos just in a kitchen. But you can take a key, and Chris just posted it. Can you show that, Chris? So we can
1 second.
show it. He just posted that. So if you click on that link in Canva, we take a photo of the kitchen and then we put a key out to the right-hand side. And this is something this is just a super simple one that Chris did. I'm trying to think, what kitchen is that? Was that at the Gulf Shores stay?
I think that was actually the house in Gulf Shores. Like we had this conversation about the first time.
So and this is cleaner actually, because the one that we did in which is a different angle in Montana has a line going over here. But I like this, just put labels down and do that stuff. And you can be more detailed. So like when you get into number one, that could be pot holders. And I think I had you do this on the fly, like right when we were in the middle of the meeting. So now we're labeling everything. So like we have a drawer that has, fireplace lighter and, bottle openers and scissors and notepads and all that type of stuff, which a lot of people don't stock that stuff. We have a drawer in every house that has it's either 3 or 4 sizes of Ziploc bags, aluminum foil, saran wrap, all that type of stuff, which is not common. And we want to showcase this stuff. So we're now starting to add those little things into every listing because we have them. We wanted to keep them as plus ones, but because we get so many questions from guests about, hey, what do I need to bring or not bring? So now we're starting to curate lists of stuff that we stock that used to be surprises. So it's going to eliminate the surprise, but it helps with the sales process. People ask about beach chairs and stuff at the beach ahead of time. They ask about where do I get skis? Oh, by the way, we actually have ski caps and hand warmers and toe warmers for you when you arrive. Those little things are part of not just the stocking for the hospitality, but now we're leveraging them as marketing pieces as well. Kathleen, how do you keep all of that stocked? We have great cleaners. And look, they frustrate me and they piss me off to no end, just like everybody else, but they all know my expectations are up here. Chris has met a few of them. I've had a few of them on our inner circle calls. If your cleaner isn't good enough, you need to find a different cleaner, right? So if they're not willing, and a lot of people ask, with the coffee bars, the waffle bars, the milkshake bars, the tampons, the flossers, the toothbrushes, the toothpaste, how do we get them to stock all that stuff? The cereal cups that we put out. We went through and looked at, we have like 67 items in an average coffee bar. And a lot of your cleaners won't do it because you have the wrong cleaner, right? I mean, if Chris was just doing video for me like he did on day one when he walked into the office, he wouldn't be in the position that he is. Chris does everything except for virtually be my personal assistant, which sometimes he's even that once in a while. So those things are important with the cleaners. And really it's about, for me, it's literally setting the standard in the very first call. I do not let a cleaner dictate, oh, well, we don't clean on holidays. We need a day in between. I'm like, I'm going to be your fucking priority and I'm going to take care of you this way, right? If that doesn't align, then we won't be a good fit together. And here's everything that I need done. My cleaners also clean my hot tubs. Even though I have hot tub, they change the filters. Even though I have hot tub companies come out to most of them. They're doing all of that stuff. I pay them more. So when a cleaner says, hey, it's going to be $300, I say, cool, I'll pay you $350. They're like, what? Most people are negotiating us down. I said, yes, but you already understand my standards. I do not waver on that. I need everything perfect. I need the pillows fluffed. I need them in the right position in the photos that my wife has taken for you. I need the coffee bar stocked. I need inventory. And I'm first clean. I am never, ever the second clean. So I'm going to pay you $50 more per clean, and I'm going to give you a $25 bonus per cleaner for 5-star cleaning reviews. Not overall 5-star reviews, but on the cleaning side. That's something that becomes really important. And you find out if they're going to align with you right off the bat. Now, a lot of them say they will, and they don't. I had this problem in North Carolina. I had to go through like 3 in Banner Elk before I found the one. And the one Paula is absolutely awesome, because we are aligned and we are in the exact same unison. That stuff ties into the marketing part for me as well. You gonna pull up Julianne's question? Is that where you marked it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm planning to start using Stafi at my properties. Is it easy to install? I may not be able to personally get to a couple of my places anytime soon to do it myself. Actually, Stafi is probably one of the easiest because basically Stafi is a router. And so you just got to connect your access point, your internet as it comes in to the router. You can set up, what the name of it is, the passwords and all that. And then it creates what's called a splash screen, just like we go to Starbucks that ask for name, email, less information you ask for, the more likely you have people that fill it out completely. I know I hated even on my European trip, those places that are like, what's your zip code and what's your address? Like, you're not going to mail me anything. So I don't know why you're asking me this question. But it is very easy to set up. Your cleaner could probably honestly, or someone could quickly, easily come in and set it up for you at a very low cost. It's super, super easy.
So here's one tip that I'll give you. If you have a provider that's giving you a 5G connection and a standard connection, like we have that in Gulf Shores through MediaCom, we have it here at our house. Typically some of these things, whether it's Roku TVs or, routers, your cameras, you need to really understand what type of wavelength there is. It wavelength? Is that what it's called? I don't know. But if it's going to work on 5G or the other, I'm a big believer in separating those, right? So we are typically letting the guests have access to 5G, and we're using the standard connection, whatever that is. Is it 2.5 or something like that? I don't want to get too technical. So we're putting the guest login on one, and we're putting all of our technology on another one just to sort out bandwidth and that type of stuff. Because you never know if you have a bunch of TVs to where people are going to come in and stream, specifically on the televisions, you can suck up your bandwidth based on whatever type of data plan you have. So just be strategic about that stuff as well. Cool. Any other last minute questions? We will answer your questions. Those of you that are just joining in will most likely be here on YouTube moving forward, just because Facebook's not playing very nice with live streaming into groups anymore until we can figure out a better option. We'll be here next Monday here on YouTube as well. If you're watching this on the recording, drop in your questions. I will be monitoring and we will help you as well. We might hear some lakes at my grandma Joy's house. Okay. Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you again. And I think that's a wrap. You got anything to add before we go?
No, just excited to be back and excited to be making content. It's going to be, we have some great stuff coming out in the summer, boot camps. I saw there was a 2025 conference email from this morning that we haven't even talked about that at all yet. So
there's a what?
From Julie.
Oh, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah.
There may or may not be an STR Wealth conference next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you guys do want another STR Wealth conference, just give me a thumbs up in the comments and we'll try to make that happen. I guess I better read that email today. Cool. Hopefully we see you guys out on the road at the boot camps here in the next month or so, and right back here on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button before you go so you can get that notification. We'll see you guys back here at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern next week. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us.